The following documentary has been made possible by funding from Domino's Pizza. Fresh from their GM Sunrace USA victory, the University of Michigan Sunrunner team is to be honored for their tremendous accomplishment by Domino's Pizza and the Detroit Tigers in a pregame ceremony.
This past July, General Motors sponsored the nation's largest ever solar-powered car race. Over 450 students from 32 university teams representing the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico embarked on an 11-day, 7-state journey from Disney World's Epcot Center to the General Motors Tech Center in Warren. Tonight, Domino's Pizza and the Detroit Tigers are proud to present the winner of the GM Sunrace USA, the University of Michigan Sunrunner team.
The members of the Sunrunner team will be leaving for Australia in about 2 months for the World Solar Challenge. We look forward to representing the University of Michigan, our sponsors, and the United States in this world-class event, and look forward to another victory.
Good luck to the team in Australia. Let's all show our appreciation to the #1 solar car team in North America with a big round of applause from Tiger Stadium.
Over a year after the students began the Sunrunner project, the team leaves the field with memories that will last forever. In the spring of 1989, 32 universities in North America were selected by General Motors and the Department of Energy to participate in a project called GM Sunrace USA. GM Sunrace USA invited student teams from each school to design and build their own solar-powered car for an 11-day race. Starting in July of 1990, the route will travel from Florida to Michigan. This documentary follows the students of the University of Michigan Sunrunner team in their quest for victory. Based on some of the requirements by GM Sunrace USA, the solar cars may be no more than 19.7 feet long, 6.6 feet wide, and 5.3 feet high. With this challenge before them, the students have settled on this particular design. The process of building the car now begins. After completing a 1/4 scale model, a few students begin the long process involved in making the car's body. Today, the 1/4 scale model is being digitized at the ASC facility. Digitizing is the process of recording data from the model's surface. Two of the students, Bill Caliardos and Dave Knowles, watch as the coordinates of the surface are measured with a very sensitive probe. These coordinates appear on the screen.
At this stage of the solar car design project, we have kind of put aside all the analysis of the car and all the different possibilities that we have for shell design, and we're kind of going into the production. We have to get an actual car built, which is where the digitizing comes in. It gives us the measurements and the actual cross sections. It's going to allow us to have something solid, some solid numbers to work with in order to build the full-scale model.
The basic idea of the design is to just get a good trade-off between aerodynamics and your solar collection efficiency, and that's really the critical trade-off in the design of the vehicle. And what we did is just try to get the best combination of both of them.
During final exams and 1 week before Christmas, the students are at the university's wind tunnel, where they are testing the 1/4 scale model. One of the key elements in determining the success of the car is the aerodynamic characteristics. Two key aspects of aerodynamics are stability and aerodynamic drag. It is imperative that the aerodynamic drag is minimized in order for a low-powered car to move through the air easily and efficiently. With various testing and experimenting, the students are becoming more familiar and more involved with the GM Sunrace USA project.
Okay, right now the shape of the car is pretty much done. We can put little tuning things on it, but other than that, we can't change it at all. where we're turning right now is more towards fabrication. Starting the end of this week, we're going to really go about 7 people a day, all day, towards fabricating the car. Work all through Christmas at the company that's helping us to do the fabrication, and hopefully we'll get that done by middle of February once we get back. But right now we're really getting into that process.
With the new year only a few weeks old, the students are back working at ASC. Today, they will take the first step in fabricating the body. The students will begin making a full-scale model of the car in separate pieces, known as plugs. Here, Frank Stagg is cutting foam off the substructure of one of the plugs. Members of the team are applying a thick skin of clay over the foam. Clay is used because of its excellent workability. It can be applied in large quantities when it is warm and soft. Once the students complete the application of the clay, the process of rough shaping begins. Members of ASC's staff show the students techniques involved in shaping clay. After the rough shaping is completed, a machine shapes the plugs in finer detail based on data that the students recorded during the digitizing process back in November. The clay is extremely machinable after cooling to room temperature. With less than 6 months until the start of GM Sunrace USA, the Solar Car team unveils the 1/4 scale model to over 200 people. There is now more pressure than ever on the students as friends, family, professors, and members of the media view what the team hopes is a winning design. In building the car from the ground up, the students find themselves in need of parts that must be custom made. Today, Matt Brown and Chris Gregory are working on certain parts for the chassis. Matt operates the lathe, finishing a part for Sunrunner's frame, while Chris works on the mill. As the project progresses, all the students continue to get real hands-on experience. This is one of many valuable aspects of the GM Sunrace USA project. With the welding of Sunrunner's frame completed, members of the body structure group begin the assembly of the car's suspension and wheel system. The space frame, which consists entirely of aluminum tubing, is not only strong, but lightweight, approximately 33 pounds. The students have designed a McPherson strut suspension for the front. Recently, the group had to make certain suspension modifications in order to pitch the front end of the car to improve the aerodynamics. The suspension in the rear consists of the springs and shocks, which are attached to the trailing arms. The frame's durability and the car's suspension are important to the success of the car. The car's body structure will have to withstand the wear and tear of over 1,600 miles of various road conditions during the race. Once the front and rear suspensions are in place, treadless mountain bike tires are attached. Treadless tires are preferable because they reduce rolling resistance and improve the car's efficiency. With just 5 months until the start of the race, Sunrunner's body structure really starts to take shape as the chassis, complete with the suspension and 4 wheels, is ready for simple testing. The plugs, which fit together to form an exact replica of the full-size car, will now be used to make molds for the body. The students begin the process of applying several layers of fiberglass and epoxy resin to the surface of the plugs. This will be the mold for the body, so it's important that there are enough layers to hold it rigid. After the epoxy mold cures, the students support the back side with a wooden frame. This ensures that the mold will be rigid and provides a good base. With the canopy mold completed, the wet sanding begins. The students must sand the molds thoroughly to yield a good, smooth surface. While sanding is quite tedious, it will save time when finishing the actual part. After the mold is sanded completely smooth, the students clean and cover it with a mold release compound. This compound helps separate the mold from the body panels after it goes through the oven. Before the actual fabrication of the body parts, the students practice using various Kevlar and Nomex honeycomb thicknesses. Kevlar is a composite material similar to fiberglass. However, it is much lighter and impact resistant. The Nomex honeycomb material serves as the core between the layers of Kevlar. Bill and Dave are inspecting the result of a certain mold release compound after use of a strong vacuum pressure. With so many variables, testing is very important in preventing flaws in the car's actual body. With GM Sunrace USA only 3 months away, the students have reached an important stage in the process of building the car's body. The first step in the process is applying the initial layer of Kevlar against the surface of the mold. Here the students are working on one half of Sunrunner's underside. A fine Kevlar weave is used because it will result in a better surface for the car's body. The Kevlar that is used has been pre-impregnated with resin and must be kept in a freezer to prevent curing, which will occur at room temperature. Following the initial weave, the students apply a larger Kevlar weave that is coarser and stronger. After they smooth it over, they will begin to apply the Nomex honeycomb. The honeycomb requires a great deal of prep work. The students have to taper the edges to prevent them from crushing during the vacuum bagging. The Nomex honeycomb is pre-cut for each body part. After the honeycomb, the students will apply another layer of Kevlar. The resulting Kevlar Nomex Kevlar sandwich is lightweight, strong, and rigid. Vacuum bagging will ensure a good bond between the Kevlar and the honeycomb core. Once the bagging is in place, the students check for leaks. When the piece is ready, the students place it inside the oven, which is set at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The curing process lasts approximately 1 hour. After the piece is cured and once it cools, the students separate it from the mold and discover their efforts are beginning to show results. Today is the final solar car meeting before the spring-summer term begins. Prior to the meeting, nearly 100 students who have participated in the Sunrunner project have gathered to sign their names to the trailer that will accompany the team along the race route. With just over 2 months until the race, the students are preparing for the big push.
We've got a timeline set now for the next 2 weeks, and being finals is going to be very intense, but if we can make that, we'll be okay.
The last big job for us to do is finish stringing the solar cells and complete the solar array. That should be done in the next couple of weeks. At that point, we just have a lot of testing to do.
In the largest student project ever undertaken at the University of Michigan, Sunrunner has given students a tremendous opportunity. Over 100 dedicated students from engineering, business, law, art, and natural resources have in turn taken full advantage of this opportunity.
It's been a good learning experience. I've learned a lot about selling skills and so forth. I'm a graduate student in a business school, and I think those will be very applicable in the long term.
After gathering in a classroom, Frank takes the time to thank his fellow students for their total dedication and participation.
With the job we had at ASC and the 3,000 to 4,000 man hours that I estimate we put in there, we could not have done it alone, and so I really thank you to everybody. We're a total team effort in this project.
Unfortunately, many of the students will not be continuing with this project because of graduation, internships, or various other commitments.
I'd like to say goodbye to those of you who are leaving. Thank you. And we'll miss you. You've done a great job. Thanks.
As some final sanding takes place on the body's underside, the students prepare for a big step in the progress of the Sunrunner project. Today, the exterior group and the body structure group are joining Sunrunner's body with the frame. The students will get a chance to check the fit and decide if any structural reinforcement is needed. Over the past few days, the team has been able to complete the steering and braking systems. Inside the workshop, the students will make some final adjustments before fitting the frame with the body. The suspension, brakes, and wheels will all be removed before the frame is fitted with the body.
I think the U of M solar car project has an excellent opportunity to go out and win the race. But besides the race right now, I think the real reward is the experience that the students are gaining here. It will be probably of paramount importance that we enter the race, we do the best we can, and hopefully we finish. It's not so much that we win, but that we compete and that we finish the race with an exercise and with a project that the students themselves have done. That's the real reward, not necessarily winning the race. It's awfully rewarding to me to see the students out here getting their hands a little bit dirty, seeing that some of the hand waving that they did when they originally come in, oh, we're just going to do a little bit of this and it'll all be done and over with, but see that in everything that is worth doing that there is a lot of effort required. that there's really nothing that's perfectly easy, nothing that's perfectly going to go right all the time.
After the placement, the frame is attached to the body. Once the suspension, brakes, and wheels are in place, additional modifications are required. With the addition of the canopy, the car really starts to take shape. When the windshield is applied on the canopy, the students take the opportunity to step back and enjoy the moment. For the past 2 months, the Solar Array Group has been preparing space-grade solar cells for the car's body. Here, Jeff, Harpreet, and Amy clean and solder the final group of cells. At the same time, some of the other students attach strings of cells to sheets of mylar. The mylar sheets will be used to transport the solar cells, which must be laid flat on the body.
The alignment is the most important thing. Each set of 10 strings has to have about 20 thousandths spacing, and that's already been done for each set, but between 2 sets of 10 also we need that. And there's going to be a problem because these facets are laid out flat here. But when they go in the car, there'll be a lot of twisting, a lot of contortion, which we can't simulate till we actually start putting on the array piece.
In designing Sunrunner, various factors had to be considered in order to maximize efficiency.
The 2 major considerations in building a vehicle that overall is really efficient is aerodynamics and, of course, the power produced by the solar array. And if you increase your solar array size to the maximum, to your limit, your boundary given by the size of your vehicle or the rules stated in the race coming up, then your aerodynamics are rather poor. On the other side of it, if you have really good aerodynamics, your solar array will be really small. So we had to find some sort of compromise in between, keep our aerodynamics, but also be able to get as many cells on the car as possible.
The body panel, to which the solar cells will be attached, is mounted on a revolving structure. Being able to position the body panel will facilitate the entire process. Jeff and Amy begin the process of lining them up. They have to be very careful because the cells are quite fragile. With approximately 2 weeks until the car's unveiling to the public, the students must attach over 14,000 solar cells to the body. The team is confident that the challenge will be met. With Mother Nature shining bright, the day to unveil Sunrunner to the public is finally here.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Atkins, the Dean of the College of Engineering. Over the past year, a committed and talented group of University of Michigan students, most but not all in the College of Engineering, have in essence organized a startup company, signed up investors, and conceived, designed, and produced a product, which they will soon be testing in a grueling transcontinental competition. This project is the most complex and expensive student project ever undertaken at the University of Michigan. We are here today to celebrate the rollout of Sunrunner, the University of Michigan entry in the GM Sunrace USA. Today, I welcome you to a major milestone towards the starting line in Florida on July 9th, and the finish line back in Warren 11 days later.
As a crowd of over 400 watched in anticipation, the team unveiled the University of Michigan Sunrunner. Nearly 20 feet long, 6 feet wide, and weighing less than 600 pounds, Sunrunner represents over 1 year of involvement by students who designed and built a solar-powered car from the ground up. After a number of sponsors, including representatives from ASC, Domino's Pizza, and IBM, received plaques in appreciation for their support, those in attendance came up for a closer look. With media, friends, and family on hand, the students answer questions about the Sunrunner project. With less than 2 weeks until the race, final checks and adjustments are being made on Sunrunner. It usually takes 4 students to install and remove the solar array body panel. The array must be securely fastened to the body both on the top and on the underside. With the array in place and tightened down, Dave straps himself in and gets ready to take Sunrunner for a spin around the parking lot. Only the sounds of an airplane and a neighborhood lawnmower disturb the afternoon peace as Sunrunner glides through the parking lot. With the time trials for the race beginning in less than 2 weeks, the students are at the Michigan International Speedway for more testing. The students want to see how Sunrunner reacts at 35 to 45 miles per hour. Interior design leader Paula Finnegan will take Sunrunner for a few laps around the track today.
You know, as you can see, there's a cruise control. You can set your cruise mode at either a constant speed or a constant current going to the motor. And then there's 2 drive modes. We can drive using a pedal, or we can drive in the cruise control mode. This right here is forward and reverse right here in the car. And you know, like I was explaining before, we have regenerative braking, so we can put power back into the system. And what you do to do that is you change to reverse, which changes the polarity of the motor, and you apply your accelerator.
After becoming accustomed to the track, Paula increases Sunrunner's speed to 45 miles per hour. Throughout the race, all solar cars will be supported by a lead and chase vehicle. This is for protection, in that the solar cars will be traveling in normal traffic on secondary roads. The driver of Sunrunner will always be in radio contact with the support vehicles. The students are happy with Sunrunner's performance and feel that the car is ready for the time trials. The next stop is the Daytona Speedway. The festivities for General Motors Sun Race USA kick off as 32 universities from all over North America join together in sunny Florida at the Daytona Speedway for the time trials. The time trials will decide the pole position for the first day of racing, which starts from Disney World's Epcot Center on Monday. Students representing universities from the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico have all gathered and get their first look at the competition. The wide range of designs add to the uniqueness of what is billed as the nation's largest ever solar-powered car race. A few universities have built cars that hold 2 drivers. This allows those teams to increase their solar array surface by 50%. As some of the vehicles take a ceremonial lap in front of the grandstand, the large crowd is captivated by both the silence and the uniqueness of each solar-powered car. General Motors and co-sponsors, the Chevrolet Motor Division, the Society of Automotive Engineers, and the Department of Energy are all impressed by the student-built cars. J. Michael Davis from the Department of Energy is very pleased with the students' enthusiasm.
The students in all the schools are to be congratulated. It's an excellent program from our point of view. You know, the energy source is not limited. We have unlimited energy from the sun, but the human resource and the technology to harness that energy is really where the question is. So whatever we can do to encourage these kinds of activities, I think you'll see us do it. And I would say that these schools have responded very well.
Before the race begins on Monday, all the cars are tested for performance in a slalom course and on a straightaway for top speed and braking. After gliding through the slalom, Sunrunner, driven by Daniel Hari, hits the straightaway and reaches a top speed of 45 miles per hour. After the speed and braking distance are computed, Sunrunner is in second, just behind the University of Maryland's car, with some 23 cars still waiting to be tested. General Motors Chairman Robert Stempel is on hand to wish all the students well before the competition begins.
Well, the creativity has been endless. Everybody's got a different idea, and everybody thinks theirs is a winner. The exciting part is to see the teams so active with the cars. University of Michigan, of course, is excited about where they're placed right now. Nancy tells me they're in second position. A reminder, there's a few more to qualify, and then 2 weeks of hard racing. But overall, the day has been exciting. I said this is the most noise we've had at Daytona without the NASCARs running. It's really terrific. You look around and the students are really excited, a lot of cheering going on, and it should be that way because there's a lot of innovation here and a lot of future stuff.
Today was interesting because we got to see what the competition will be like throughout the race. there's still a lot of unknowns as far as durability, as far as people's calculations of their strategy and so forth. We're pretty happy about how we qualified. We weren't really looking to be number 1 or number 2 in the pole position, and that's the way it turned out. We were more concerned with how our brakes would act and so forth. But as it turns out, I think we're looking pretty good.
A short Florida rainstorm postpones the remaining time trials at the Daytona Speedway. Since the track is too wet, the remaining solar cars will be tested for pole positions in Orlando. Today, GM Sunrace officials will continue to test vehicles for pole positions, as well as putting all the solar cars through safety testing. During the testing, some schools have experienced various problems. Here, the University of North Texas car loses its windshield while maneuvering through the slalom course. They will be retested once they make the needed adjustments. The Viking from Western Washington University, a 2-driver vehicle, has one of the more unusual designs. The Viking performed well during the slalom course and hit a top speed of 33 miles per hour, which earns the 6th pole position for Monday. Aside from brake testing, there are some other safety requirements race officials are checking, one of which is for the driver to have some rear visibility. Instead of side or rear view mirrors that would hurt the aerodynamics, Sunrunner has a roof-mounted fiber optic scope. GM officials concerned with the clarity of the driver's rear visibility in Sunrunner seek advice from race director George Ettenheim.
We don't want any questions.
Well, Susan and I were talking about the fact that they have to have rear vision good enough to see a vehicle behind them. And it's difficult for us to bring a vehicle up, so we just wanted to have a suitable size object, and they were able to describe the shape and the color of a pouch that was about the size of an attaché case. So that's plenty good to give them safety out on the road.
The remaining safety checks are for the horn, brake lights, and the windshield wiper. Sunrunner passes all tests and is cleared for racing. The remaining solar cars will be tested today as the universities claim their pole positions for the race, which starts tomorrow. Among those observing the student teams is GM Sunrace Program Manager Jerry Williams.
Well, there's an immediate benefit, obviously, for the students that are participating because they're really seeing real-world problems as they crop up, like the thunder I just heard in the background. That's real life. When you're running on solar energy, you'd think the sun's going to shine all the time. It doesn't. So they have to plan for those kind of things. You don't necessarily do that in a textbook course when you do work on a project that's real life. Those kind of things have to be taken into consideration. So that's the first thing. The long range is the small kids that are along the course between Florida and Michigan are going to have some real life heroes made by these college students. When they come into town, it's going to be like they're from another planet, but they're really not that old. They're only a few years older than the grade school and junior high school kids. We think that there's going to be a lot of young kids that really get inspired and start studying and doing what they have to do to be like all these kids out here.
In the spirit of competition, all the universities have helped each other to get ready for the race.
We have had a great amount of help from universities. The University of Michigan has been the best help to us that we've had this morning. They have lent us their machinery that's helped us with our unique motor that we are putting in Prism right now. We've also had assistance across the board from the universities. The University of Maryland has offered any help that we might need. I know that Cal State San Luis Obispo gave us the 4 bolts to use in our unique motor this morning. So everyone's come up, offered help with whatever we need because we've had some problems.
The students from the University of Michigan are anxious to get on with the race as they make final checks and adjustments.
Oh, we're making all final arrangements to make sure all the batteries are topped off, and we're ready to go, making final checks on preventive maintenance, things like that, and so everything goes real smoothly tomorrow. I think we're just about prepared.
Race day finally arrives. After over a year of involvement on the project, nervous anticipation is shown on the faces of all the students. In front of Epcot Center's Geosphere, the Sunrunner is one of 32 solar-powered cars that dazzle the crowd. After a classic Disney World opening, Robert Stempel, chairman of General Motors, steps up to the podium with Mickey Mouse to get the race underway.
Good morning. Delighted to see all the racers here this morning and all the visitors. In just a few minutes, we'll start Sun Race USA. It's just a terrific day for it, and we're all excited about it. This is the first event of its kind in the United States, and it's sponsored by the Department of Energy, the Society of Automotive Engineers, and General Motors. It's an event that's attracting international attention. We've got journalists from all over the world here today. And it's a race for solar-powered cars. That's cars that run on sunlight. Now, each car, of course, has a battery inside that's charged by the energy of the sun working on a solar panel. And you've seen them, they're spread on the back of the cars. Now, the teams are allowed to use 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night to charge their batteries. And of course, during the race, they'll be running on the sun also. We have teams from 32 colleges, universities, and technical schools in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. And they're all participating in the race today. Each team has designed and built its own vehicle. We started, the Department of Energy gave each team $2,000. General Motors contributed $5,000. But the schools had to raise the money themselves to complete their cars. And you see the wonderful machines they've developed. A typical team has a faculty advisor and 12 members. I really haven't found a typical team because I think there's 100 on each. There's a great gang of kids out there. Now, just qualifying for the race was no easy task. We had more than 60 proposals submitted. The teams were selected by judges, and we got down to the best 30, and we had to add 2 more. They were so good. It's going to be an 11-day race. It'll take the solar cars from here at Walt Disney World in Florida up to our tech center in Warren, Michigan. Now, that's what you all came really to see and get started with. So let's get on as we start GM Sun Race USA. Thank you very much.
The University of Michigan Sunrunner has the second pole position for today, the first day of General Motors Sun Race USA. Driver Dave Knowles is behind the wheel as Robert Stempel waves the green flag. From Disney World, the solar-powered fleet of cars heads for Floral Park. The finish line for today is approximately 75 miles away. All goes well as Sunrunner cruises along and completes the day's short route.
I think that we did great. I think that based on today's results, it could be argued that other teams were better, 1 or 2 other teams perhaps. Whether our strategy is better than theirs is going to determine whether we win the race or they win the race. But I think it's fair to say at this point that we're looking at the top 3 or 4 pretty consistently throughout this race. We've got a solid car, and one of the things that really helped us today is we spent no time on the side of the road.
After the first day of GM Sun Race USA, Cal State Los Angeles is on top, followed by the University of Waterloo, Ontario in second, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in third, with Colorado State University just ahead of the University of Michigan. As the sun sets on Floral Park, anticipation grows for the first full day of racing. Day 2 of GM Sun Race USA begins with all teams charging their batteries. The field of solar car arrays is quite a sight for the residents of the sleepy town. All students appear to be slightly tense, being that today is the first full day of racing. The weather is also a concern. Today's destination is Tallahassee, Florida, 192 miles north of Floral Park. The teams will leave in order based on the previous day's arrival. The University of Michigan will be the 5th team to leave Floral Park today. Paula Finnegan will drive Sunrunner for the first half of the day. This will be the first time that she has driven in Sun Race. The race route out of Floral Park is lined with curious spectators, getting their first look at the solar-powered cars. After changing a flat tire just outside of Floral Park, the Sunrunner caravan continues north. The team is hoping that they will be able to gain back the 7 minutes that was lost while replacing the wheel. The highway to Tallahassee, nestled between the trees, provides tranquil surroundings for most of the day's route. In keeping with their conservative strategy, Sunrunner consistently cruises along at just under 35 miles per hour. The pit stop for the day is at Dixie County High School. Here the team will switch drivers. Dave Knowles will take the second shift and head towards Tallahassee. Based on reports from the Sunrunner Meteorological Group, rain is expected, so the team decides to apply tape over the canopy seam in order to prevent the possibility of an electrical short. As Sunrunner exits the pit stop, the dark clouds have already begun to appear. Just as expected, the Florida sky fills with gray clouds and a steady rain begins to fall. In addition to driving the car, Dave will also have to operate the hand-powered windshield wiper. Due to the overcast sky, Sunrunner maintains a speed of 33 miles an hour on the way to Tallahassee in order to conserve battery power for tomorrow. Sunrunner pulls into the North Florida Fairgrounds with a time of 8 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds, which is good for fourth place, behind Maryland, Stanford, and Western Washington University. After 2 days of racing, the University of Michigan is in third place, with a cumulative elapsed time of 10 hours, 21 minutes, 15 seconds. With cloudy skies being forecast, the strategy to conserve battery power for tomorrow looks like a wise move. Day 3 of GM Sunrace USA begins with partly sunny skies and rain forecast for the afternoon. The Sunrunner team seems set for another day of racing as they charge the array, oil the chains, and check the car's key areas in preparation for today's racing. Sunrunner gets the green flag and departs from the North Florida Fairgrounds with approximately 205 miles to travel to the day's final destination. Paula is driving the first leg, and Dave will take over at the pit stop for the second leg. Today, the solar cars travel from Tallahassee, Florida to Montgomery, Alabama. Just north of Tallahassee, the Sunrunner caravan crosses into Alabama, the second of 7 states that GM Sunrace USA travels through. Sunrunner is one of only 2 cars to complete the day's race route. The University of Michigan completes Day 3 of GM Sunrace USA in 9 hours, 10 minutes, and 47 seconds. Their daily elapsed time is over 15 minutes better than the MIT Galaxy, the second-place finisher. All the other teams have to transport their cars to Montgomery, and each will receive a penalty. Overall, after 3 days, the University of Michigan glides into first place with a cumulative elapsed time of 19 hours, 31 minutes, 54 seconds. MIT is in second, approximately 15 minutes behind Michigan, followed by Western Washington in third. For the next 6 days, Sunrunner is consistently among the top 4 finishers for each day. After completing 9 days of racing, the University of Michigan is in first place, approximately 3 hours ahead of Western Washington University. Day 10 of GM Sunrace USA is a homecoming of sorts for the University of Michigan team. From Greenville, Ohio, the 32 teams travel into the 7th and final state in the 11-day solar car odyssey. The weary U of M students become revitalized once they cross the border into the state of Michigan. As Sunrunner glides towards the day's finish line, the old saying that there's no place like home rings true for all the members of the University of Michigan solar car team. After traveling approximately 190 miles today, Sunrunner arrives at the Ingham County Fairgrounds with the 5th best time of the day.
I feel great coming home, of course. I feel tired, though. It's been a long 10 days. Must admit there's a little bit of nervousness about tomorrow. You know, it's not over till it's over, but we should do fine.
On the eve of the final day of GM Sunrace USA, Michigan's Governor Blanchard stops by to congratulate the students of the U of M Sunrunner team.
It's exciting to see young students doing something that is significant in science and transportation and energy. I've been a long-time supporter of solar energy. I was in Congress, now as governor, and to see the whole photovoltaic car not only work and perform, but have our U of M students produce it, and thus far be ahead as the winner is very exciting.
Overall, they remain in first place with a lead of 2 hours, 17 minutes, 5 seconds. The route for the final day of GM Sunrace USA is from the Ingham County Fairground in Mason to the General Motors Technical Center in Warren. With only 84 miles to the finish line and over a 2-hour lead, the University of Michigan team is poised for victory. As the Goodyear blimp looms overhead, the teams prepare their cars for the homestretch drive. The university teams have traveled over 1,500 miles, and even though victory is out of reach for most of them, it is inspiring to see that no one has given up. As they have for the previous 10 days, the U of M students charge their solar array and check the key areas of the car. The team knows that even with their sizable lead, a breakdown could cost them a great deal of time and possibly the race. Shortly after 9 a.m., the cars begin their departure for the GM Tech Center. Western Washington University is currently in second place, but with 84 miles to go, anything can happen. With the sun shining bright, Paula gets the green flag and heads for Warren. Just as they have for the entire race, people are lined along the route to get a glimpse of the student-built solar cars. After experiencing a chain failure and having to wait at a crossing for a train to pass, Sunrunner's lead time begins to dwindle. With the Western Washington Viking having already completed the day's route, all eyes are on the University of Michigan and their diminishing lead. At approximately 12:44 p.m., Sunrunner approaches the finish line just outside the General Motors Tech Center. As the car crosses the train tracks, Sunrunner completes GM Sunrace USA. With an 11-day cumulative elapsed time of 72 hours, 50 minutes, 47 seconds, the University of Michigan is the winner by 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Paula, how's it feel? 11 days.
Feels great, George. We're finally here. Feels good.
What was it like coming through at the end here?
Oh, wow. After we had that chain failure, there was a lot I was really, concentrating on driving, and I could see all the people up and down the streets, and it felt good to be home and, exciting. I wish I could have enjoyed it more, waving to the people. But it was coming across the finish line here, knowing that, it doesn't matter if we blow a tire, it doesn't matter if we blow another chain, we're here, and we came in first.
Over 5,000 spectators are on hand at the GM Tech Center as Sunrunner drives down Victory Lane. A project and dream that began in January 1989 is now ending. Victory for all the members of the University of Michigan Sunrunner team. With great determination, a tremendous effort, and an undying will to win, the students of the University of Michigan Sunrunner team have proven themselves as champions. Champions in the truest sense of the word. The memories of GM Sunrace USA will shine in their minds forever. Their dream is now a reality.